Hi, teacher friend. It's Christina. I am the one who created the sound wall that you just purchased. I just wanted to jump in here because I know sound walls are new for so many of us, and I get a lot of questions every day. And I thought I could make a video to try to help you out as you are getting ready to set up and use your sound wall. We want our sound walls to be an awesome tool for our students as they are learning to move from speech to print. So I am going to show you a little bit about setting up your sound wall and how to use it effectively to help your students. So first thing I want you to know is that there has been a lot of work putting into making this sound wall perfect for you. There have been some revisions made because the more I learn, specifically related to the science of reading, the more that I want to align my resources for best practice. If you're just jumping into the science of reading, it's not something newly discovered. It's decades and decades of research, and I am completely fascinated by learning from scientists how students learn to read. So there's a little bit about that. But I just wanted to show you some information of where I got or some resources of information where I got to create this resource. So first off, Wiley Blevins, he is very well known for phonics as kind of his guru area. And this is a really good book. I highly suggest. It was only like around $20. Phonics A to Z. It's got a lot of things about sounds and grouping sounds and mouth articulation and things like that, but it also has word lists in it, so for easy reference, phonics games and activities, all kinds of things related to phonics. The other book, she is so well known, Louisa Moats. She's kind of like the top queen of sound walls and speech to print, but this book is great because it's going to teach you about syntax, morphology, language, literature, instruction. It's not an easy read. It's heavy in some parts, but you can always highlight and come back to it. So this is a good one that I used. And then of course, Equipped for Reading Success. I have been really into this book. But he is all about, David Kilpatrick wrote all about the importance of phonemic awareness skills, that kids really have to have solid phonemic awareness skills before they move into print, right? And so he's got some phonemic awareness activities. There's a whole bunch of activities in here that you can use with your students, but the fascinating part of this book that I learned a lot about is word recognition and how we want to kind of shift away from teaching our students to learn words by sight, because we have researchers have found that that's not how kids learn to read, but more using their phonetic skills. So I'm getting off topic. But last reference, of course, I've listened to lots and lots of podcasts and watched webinars and trainings and things like that. But another valuable resource that you might want to look for is if you go on Google and just type in phonics, a large phoneme grapheme frequency count. This will help you to understand when you're teaching graphemes or letter combinations, which one are seen more frequently. For example, the long vowel A has 4 different ways that we would write the long A, 4 different spellings. We have A blank E, A-I, and A-Y, and so Hannah has put them in order here, so this is another reference for you. Okay, let's get into it. So, when you open the sound wall folder, you're going to see a lot of PDFs. Obviously, you've already done that because you're watching this video. But I wanted to show you. So included, I tried to make this resource as helpful for you because I know our classes are all different. They look different. We have different spaces and things like that. But I'm going to give you some tips. So we have the larger size sound wall cards, sound spelling cards, and then the shorter. These are 2 to a page when you print them out, but they're a little bit shorter. They're still pretty good size. Some tips I would maybe consider is you can print out this copy and use them like A to Z and put them like in the front instead of like an alphabet line. Print them out and just print the A to Z and put them up there instead of your alphabetical line. Because remember, our sound wall is not organized A to Z, but I think that kids still really need to learn like alphabet letters A to Z. And so then these would match exactly your sound wall. So that would be one way. And then another thing I just wanted to point out about printing out your cards is you might consider printing more than one set. Or you could print them in smaller sizes. So these print 2 to a page, so it would just be these 2 here. But you can go into your printer settings and print 2 pages on 1 page. That's how I got this. So it actually prints 4. And that is actually how I made this portable sound wall behind me, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But when you print 2 to a page and you get these little ones, you can use them in your small groups, at the small group table, or even in your whole group when you're teaching with your kids seated at the rug in front of you. I would maybe even use these, but just remember that you can print them and use them in any ways that you want. But these might be a fun center, you could use these in a center for your students, and things like that. So that's a little bit about the different sizes of cards that you can print. My suggestion is thinking about the space that you have, because a sound wall is very large. When I printed these ones and I added everything, it took about a 8-foot long bulletin board by 4 foot. So that's pretty big. So I would print a few cards, scale them down a little bit if you need to, and then kind of measure and then come back and print everything. That's my suggestion for you. And then another thing is if you print a card and you want to kind of pull it off your wall, if you print an extra card, or you can leave it on your wall, or you can pull it off your wall kind of as your focus. So if this week you were focusing on the ch sound, you could pull it off the wall and have it on your whiteboard or on your focus wall, and you just have the attention on that during the week. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the locks. I know that on social media we're seeing them everywhere, and I have actually done a lot of talking with friends in the field and tried to do as much research as I can to give you my suggestions. So if you're like me and you want learning, you want your students to be totally in it with you and make learning fun, you can kind of what we say lock the sound as you are setting up your sound wall. So let's start from the beginning. So as you are putting up your sound wall, I'm going to encourage you to put up all the parts of your sound wall so that you know like the spacing where everything is. And then I'm going to say that we want to lock the sounds or the cards, the graphemes that we haven't taught yet. So just really quickly as a visual, I'm just going to point over here. So let's say, for example, we haven't taught the long I. So we have the mouth photos, the articulation photos, posted and visual. We have the phoneme cards, posted and visual for our students. And then we have the sound spelling card posted, but the graphemes are under lock and key, right? So we are covering it for our students so that when they see the cards in the classroom, that first of all, they're getting used to the sound wall, they're getting used to seeing and kind of knowing the parts of the sound wall, especially on the consonant sound wall, how we have like fricatives and the different categories of the sound wall, right? But we want to take some of the stimuli away so that it's not overwhelming for our students. So that is why we are going to go ahead and lock them before we explicitly teach them. Okay, so this is maybe what a sound wall might look like, my vowel valley at the beginning of first grade. Because at the beginning of first grade, my students have already been taught in kindergarten. If I look back in the scope and sequence from kindergarten, I'll know that they have learned all their consonants and short vowels. Some kindergarten programs or scope and sequence probably get into long vowels towards the end of the year. So you're going to need to check with your kindergarten team or your scope and sequence of whatever program your school uses. And even when we unlock them, we are still going to do like a quick review at the beginning of the year of like the sounds that they've already learned, just to, you know, you're assessing your students and you're knowing what do they already know, and make sure that they have good knowledge base of those phonemes and graphemes, right? So in the beginning of first grade, you see that I would just have my short vowels. I have the e, the a, and the I. And then here I have the keyword card showing, because after I teach it, I'm going to post it near my sound spelling card. Right? So these have already been learned. These ones have not. That's why I do not have a key card here. So now let's talk a little bit about locking up our sounds. Again, I created this on a trifold board as an example for two reasons. One, a lot of teachers are saying, I don't have space for a sound wall. So I printed 2 to a page, and that's how I got these cards so small. Secondly, I get emails from teachers who say, I service many different students, many different groups of students. For example, I'm an intervention teacher and I have a kindergarten group and a first grade group. So my suggestion is, and other people who I respect, their suggestion is to create a portable sound wall like this. It is an investment of creating it, of time. Maybe you could find a volunteer who wants to help, but we can reuse it next year, right? So we could cover things up or reuse it, because you want to be able to use that kindergarten one and show them the things and make it a big deal to unlock them, and then your first grade group is going to have a whole different sound wall. Okay, hopefully that'll help out a little bit. Also, one more question that I've been asked quite a lot is, and we can't see it because this isn't the consonant, but in the sound wall package there is a car for the letter, the grapheme C, and there's a kite, and they both make the same sound. We really only need to post one, and I would suggest that you post the car sound card, this one right here, because C shows up in spelling of words 70%, and I think K is about 14%. And then this is short vowel, CK, and then CH like in chorus or school. This is the least frequently used grapheme to represent the K sound. So my suggestion is to post the car, put the kite to the side, unless you are going to post the alphabet order. So that's why I gave it to you. So that's my suggestion. There's no need for you to post both of them. Okay, going back to locking our sounds and posting. So we have our whole sound wall posted, and now we're ready to cover. So we are going to look at our scope and sequence from the previous year, and anything that has not been taught, we are going to cover. Included in the download, I have many different covers for you. So I'm going to show you different options. So here is your card, the ch sound. So my top suggestion, I have 4 choices for you, but my top suggestion is this one. I really like this because I like the lock, that it is exciting for the students. It's a locked sound, and you can make it a big deal as you're unveiling that and you're showing the graphemes to your students, and you're teaching exactly that skill to your students, you're going to make it a big deal. It's locked, but it's not visually too much. Whereas if you use this huge lock, think about if you had those big locks all over. I know that a lot of teachers are starting to use these locks. I really think that that's not the best choice. Of course, every teacher is going to do what they think is best for their students. So I'm going to give you, I'm giving you my suggestion, and then you do what is best for your students. So the reason why I don't suggest locking the whole picture card like this, that I have seen some teachers doing, and actually I included these large locks in the resource, but I'm now taking them out because I just really feel like I'm trying to give you a resource that is most helpful for your students and research-based. And I don't think that this is a good strategy because we need our students to be able to have access to the different phonemes as they're building up their phonemic awareness skills. We also know that our students are going to learn things before our scope and sequence, you know. For example, in first grade, if you look at the double O, the oo sound like in cook, that's a skill that we learn kind of towards the end of the year, maybe May, April in first grade. So when my first grader is writing, I like to look at the rainbow. That's a teachable moment, right? So I'm going to be able to show them the sound wall and give them a quick little lesson, and then show them, oh, friend, you know, it's the sound, and there's a lot of ways that you can spell the sound, but I'm just going to tell you that the way you spell and look is 2 O's. Look. Let's sound it. K. Look. And you can even use your whiteboards and do some phoneme, grapheme work on their whiteboards so that they can kind of get like it's like a teachable moment. We don't want to hold our friends back just because it's not in our scope and sequence. Now, if I had my whole card covered, I'd never have that time to have that teachable moment. So I really want to encourage you to think about not locking the entire card, but to make a choice of you can cover it. I've included these where it's just a white card with the lock, the yellow card so it matches. This card you could use, but I'm not a fan of this particularly. Or there's just a blank yellow card as well. You could just stick some Post-its on there. It does not have to be fancy, really. It just depends what kind of teacher you are, honestly. So once they are locked and now you're teaching, like it's week 13 and my friends are learning digraphs, and so I am teaching them the ch sound, and so we're going to connect the sound to the print, and they're going to learn that the ch sound is represented by CH. But they're not going to learn the TCH after a short vowel for a while. So we're going to, again, lock that. And an easy way to do that, again, is you can use a Post-it like I did here. I'm just covered with yellow Post-its because my students aren't learning the KN and the GN like in NAT, right? Just cover it with a Post-it. But when you first unlock it, you can be like, oh, friends, we're unlocking a new sound. And, you know, tell them about it. Say, everybody say cheese, and go through the whole routine. But then you can say, but, you know, let's just focus on what I want you to learn right now is the 2 letters that make the ch sound. Or we shouldn't say make we represent the ch sound. So we're going to cover this. We're going to lock that part up. And so we can just cover it right here, like I said, like with a Post-it. Sorry, it's like backwards when I'm filming. We're just going to cover that, and then we're going to take it off. That way we can direct all of the attention on what we are teaching explicitly with our students. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps. But I do want to encourage you, as you're beginning your year, not to post everything. I have seen some teachers who are posting all of the keyword cards and everything. And that's what it's going to look like at the end of the year as you build your sound wall with your students. One last thing is these are the keyword cards. So for each grapheme or grapheme set, I've included the keywords. So as you teach it, you can post it. Your kids have an opportunity to see that the grapheme in context of a picture. A sound wall is very different than a word wall. A word wall, if you think about it, we posted words and we wanted our kids to use it as like a dictionary so that if they went to the writing center and they were trying to spell the word where, they could just look up on the word wall to find the word where. A sound wall, we are teaching explicitly, connecting the sounds to the spelling, the phonemes to the graphemes, so that our students have tools to be confident and to be independent as they are reading and writing, segmenting, blending. When you're doing dictation, they can use it as a reference to look up. If there were, they're writing J played in the rain. If that's your dictation sentence, they can look at the A card and they can find out, oh, AY is at the end of the word in J. It's like a reference for them. They're not looking on the word wall for played, how to spell that word exactly. So we're giving them the tools. I am so passionate about sharing and teaching. I know you have so many good ideas. If you have a great idea or you want to share your word wall, I would love to see it. You can share it with me on Facebook or Instagram. I am Mrs. Winters Bliss. You can email me if you have questions or you want to share. I would just love it at Christina@MrsWintersBliss.com. But I just wish you all the best, and I am going to sign off now. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.